So the Ascension has been heralded for a long time. The Mayans have talked about it in their calendars. This end of ages, this beginning of a new cycle. And so I'm going to come on to cycles now. Because again, I think it's good to have a foundation, a grounding in where we are right now so that we can understand where we're going. And we are governed by cycles of time. We all know that. There's nothing we can do about it. The Earth spins on its axis and it goes round and it faces the sun for so many hours a day, and it's in the shadow of the sun for so many other hours of the day, 12 and 12 basically. So we govern our lives by that. So we live our lives, our active lives during the day, and we go to sleep and rest during the night. And that is how we live. Everything else that we do basically is governed around that. When I was thinking, well, why do we do that? I mean, perhaps we could then say, well, why don't we stay up for 24 hours and then why don't we go to sleep for 24 hours? I'm sure a lot of people have tried that and it just doesn't seem to work. Is it just habit just because we do that? No, I think it is more, it's very much a core part of being a human that we live by these cycles. And this cycle, again, we can't really change it. This day and night cycle governs our lives when we get up and do things, do activities, and when we go to sleep. That's kind of set in stone. But then so are all the other cycles. So you've got the days, the weeks, the months, they're all governed again by the moon going around the Earth. The year is governed by the Earth going around the sun. And within that year, we have the seasons. Plants and crops grow during some of those seasons, and then they fall away and die during other seasons. That's all part and parcel of this third dimensional world that we live in. These are the rules of the game, if you like. This is not anything we can change, although we try to do it artificially. But basically, that again is set in stone. And it's very interesting that these things that we are governed by are all to do with spinning, rotation, orbits. A lot of these things are reflected in our own bodies. And if you look into the atoms, they have, electrons that spin around them. There's all this spinning motion even in our bodies. And the blood's all cycling around. There's a lot of comparisons. So this seems to be a fundamental of the world, of the universe that we live in. So you get these spiraling rotations, these circular bodies that go around. You get the Earth on its axis, you get the moon going around the Earth, you get the Earth going around the sun. All the other planets in the solar system are going around the sun. And I understand actually when the Earth is moving around in its orbit, it's actually in a spiraling motion, which seems to perhaps mimic the DNA. I believe it's a right-handed spiral. Anyway, so the whole sun and the whole solar system is moving around some point in the galaxy, and it seems to be heading towards and away from the galaxy core, or the central sun in the center of the galaxy. I'm not sure if it's called the central sun or if it's just called the galaxy core, but if you look on the pictures, there does seem to be an extreme amount of light coming from the center. But there is this definite move, which seems inherent to life itself, perhaps. And we are very much governed by these orbital movements and by these cycles, these cycles of time. But it does seem as if there are other cycles. There are other cycles of time which we are not so aware about, which perhaps do govern the way we live or our consciousness in ways that we do not realize. And that's what I would like to explain now. I've found some information out. Some of it's well known, some of it I've just put two and two together. So you see what you think. I think it's very interesting. So again, as I was saying, there's been a lot of talk about the ascension process and this great time we have entered now. The Mayans talked about it, and it was supposed to start on December the 21st, 2012, I believe. And so that was the start. And nothing has necessarily happened that we can understand, but that doesn't mean it hasn't started. So it's the start of another 26,000 years. And that is a huge cycle. And it seems to be this cycling through the galaxy. And again, of course, the galaxy is as well. The galaxy is moving around the universe. You know, it's like everything is traveling around the sun, and the whole solar system is then moving around in the galaxy. And then while that's all moving, then everything is still moving in the galaxy, and then that is moving around some place in the universe. You know, and then does it go on and on and on? Quite possibly. So this cycle of time, this new cycle of 26,000 years, you can actually see that we do go through a cycle of 26,000 years if you study the stars long enough. And the Mayans did that thousands of years ago, you know, so they obviously had some pretty good technology. But modern man has studied the stars and has also discovered that as the Earth spins on its axis, it's not quite true through that axis. It's got a kind of a wobble on it, if you can understand. And this wobble, it takes a long time to go round once. So this slight wobble is quite difficult to see because it actually takes to go round once. That takes 26,000 years. If you look up in the night sky at the point where the sun rises, so just before the sun rises, you're looking up, you will see a particular constellation. And that constellation will last for 2,160 years, I believe it is. And then after that, you will see, as the wobble changes, you then see a different constellation in that place for the next 2,160 years. And so there's 12 of those. And this is well documented. And this is called the age we are in. And so we are in the age of Aquarius now. And that is a very interesting thing as well. That gives us a big clue on a lot of things to do with how we live our lives, and I'm sure much more. But it also seems as if as we travel around in this 26,000 year cycle around some point in the galaxy, it seems as if, again, this cycle is split up into two parts. And I would like to call this 26,000 year cycle a spiritual day, because that for 13,000 years, the Earth's axis is pointing towards the center of the galaxy. So somehow it's in alignment and moving towards this huge light in the center of the galaxy. And then for the other half, the Earth's axis is moving away from the spiritual center of the galaxy. And this seems to have very strong connotations on us, on Earth, on everybody that lives on the Earth. Again, it's like the night and day, but it's 13,000 years of light as we move towards the center of the galaxy, and then it's like the night when the Earth is moving away from the center of the galaxy in the other half of this 13,000 years. This axis alignment seems to have very important connotations which result in distinct effects on the Earth's population. What I believe is that during the 13,000 years, as the axis is in alignment with the center of the galaxy and moving towards it, it represents that daytime I talked before. So the daytime is when we're active and we're learning, you know, such as that we go to work and we learn and we're active during our 12 hours of our 24-hour day. This 13,000 years is where we're heading to the light and where it's a very uplifting time for our consciousness. It's where we are learning a great deal. We're kind of bathed in this light and our consciousness is rising and we become aware of new ways of being, if you like. And it's a great educational time for us spiritually. So yeah, great time of spiritual development and advancement of our consciousness. And then on the other 13,000 years, as we head away from the center of the galaxy, away from that light towards the dark, it's like our nighttime. We rest and we get ready for the next day, and perhaps we practice what we've learned. We absorb and integrate those lessons from the spiritual day. So that's what I believe is happening. So if I can wrap up the cycles section, we are governed by cycles. We are governed really by these planetary bodies that we live on, and the planetary bodies that we revolve around, like the sun. You know, the moon has so much effect on us, being so close. It's well documented that with certain phases of the moon, how is suddenly more crime, more babies are born on these particular days. And so it seems quite obvious, quite logical, that other planetary bodies, as we cycle through the galaxy, will also have effects on us in other ways. We are very much governed by these cycles of time. We all know that with the 24-hour day, but there's other cycles, as shown by the precession of the equinoxes. We have this wobble the Earth goes through, and that takes 26,000 years to go through once. All the cycles seem to have very definite physical effects on us. It seems very unlikely that such an episode, when you look at all the other cycles, that this wobble, it does not have some kind of specific meaning and physical effect somehow. In India, they talk about this light and dark, this axis alignment with the center of the galaxy, this huge light in the center of the galaxy. The Mayans prophesied about this end of ages and the beginning of a new cycle at this time. This 26,000 year cycle seems to be split up into two parts, a night and a day. The day is where we are aligned with the great light in the center of the galaxy. As the wobble then moves around, the axis is not aligned with the center of the galaxy and that great light. It's aligned with the darkness. Then as we seem to go away from this light, it represents the nighttime. So we've got the day and the night, and it's almost like, again, it's part of the syllabus, it's all set up for us. We get this great help from this light, the center of the galaxy, and this represents a spiritual time. It's a great awakening, it's a great boost for our consciousness and learning. And then for the other 12,000, it's like the syllabus is saying, right, now you can go off on your own and you don't need the light. You can embody it yourself. You've learned the lessons. Now it's up to you to integrate that, to practice what you've learned. But you haven't got that teddy bear, if you like, to cuddle or give you support. You're on your own. You've got it there, but now you're on your own. It's like going to school to become a doctor, let's say. All the time when you're in the school, you've basically got that full support, but when you leave, you're more on your own, and now you're a little bit new, you're a little bit green, but you're doing it on your own. And I think that is the day and the night for these 13,000 years, this 26,000 year cycle. You can say that we've just come out of the dark. We've come out of a dark 13,000 years of the 26,000, and now we're starting a new cycle, so we're going into the light half. Again, we're in that change process though between the two, and so that change represents a little bit of upheaval as we let the old things go and then we bring in the new things. I mean, there's a lot of people talk about when the actual change was. The Mayans and Drunvalo Melchizedek talk about it as starting on December the 21st, 2012. I am going with the 2012, and so we are now into this new cycle. The axis pointing towards the light, and this light will give us great support. It's like the sun in our day. You know, we don't really want to do a lot at nighttime, but when the sun's out, we feel supported. When it's a sunny day, it makes us feel happy. So it's like that. You know, and we're only a few seconds into this new cycle in comparison to a 24-hour day. So you can imagine that the sun is not fully up yet. This light in the center of the galaxy is not fully coming into our perspective, but it is starting to, and it is making waves. You know, Age of Aquarius is all to do with waves, and we're all feeling it. Again, it's a process and it is unfolding more and more. So that is cycles. Next, we're going on to a whole other topic, which is a subsection of cycles. Within these cycles, there does seem to be these polarities, like our night and day. And in fact, they cycle round within this 26,000 years. And they have specific effects on humanity. And it seems, again, this is part of the syllabus. It is in stone and there's nothing we can do about it. And so, with the start of this new age, some of the polarities are changing.